Hello, my dear students. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to study the poem The Farmer's Wife by Volga, translated from Telugu. This is a very powerful feminist poem that gives voice to the wife of a farmer who dies by suicide. Through her words, we understand her pain, anger, frustration, and determination to live. Before we begin the poem, let us understand why some farmers in India end their lives. Farming depends on good rainfall and healthy crops. When there is drought or flood, the crops fail. Farmers who often take loans for seeds and fertilizers are then unable to repay their debts. Along with financial loss, they also face pressure and humiliation from society. Feeling helpless, many farmers see suicide as the only escape. But what about the family left behind? What about the wife and the children? This poem answers that question. I shall read the stanza first and then give you explanation. Stanza 1. You are virtuous and you are gone. Poor sinner that I am, remain before your creditors, unable to bend your head or stretch out your hand or sell your crops you crossed over. Let me explain. The farmer's wife speaks directly to her dead husband. People call him virtuous for ending his life, but she feels left behind like a sinner. He has escaped all responsibilities, loans, debts, and shame, but she is still alive, facing the creditors and their demands. She feels that suicide was his escape, but for her, the real struggle begins. Imagine this, children, a group of creditors knocking at the door, demanding repayment. The farmer is gone, he doesn't have to face their insults anymore. But his poor wife must open that door every single day. People will point fingers at her, saying, your husband died, but what about our money? She is bitter, frustrated, and angry. She feels he has left her to carry the shame of the family all alone. Stanza 2. But I was born with a head bent, a hand outstretched, not unused to being sold. Knowing all this, did you leave me? You found release with poison, poisoning my bitter existence. Let me explain. Here, the wife compares her life to his. The farmer could not bend his head, but she has always lived with humiliation and dependence. Women in society are used to suffering, begging, and even being treated as objects. She asks him, knowing all this, how could you leave me? By drinking poison, he killed himself, but in doing so, he made her life even more bitter and painful. Her anger grows stronger here. She says, I was already used to humiliation. My life was always bent, always begging, but you could not face it even once. She is furious that he chose the easy way out while she must continue to suffer. It is as if she's screaming, if I can live with all this pain every day, why couldn't you? She feels helpless here, but she's angry and frustrated. Stanza 3. The cotton crop is but yesterday's, but our family, how often have I drowned in it? How many times have I escaped death? Whether you abused or reviled me, kicked me when you were drunk, I thought, he is but a man. Little did I dream you would deal me a death blow like this. Let me explain stanza 3. The wife now compares her married life. The cotton crop has failed, but the family is still alive. She says she has already faced so much suffering, hunger, insults, abuse, and even violence from her husband. Still, she accepted it, thinking he is just a man. But his suicide was the biggest betrayal. By dying, he left her alone with children and debts, a blow worse than all the abuse she faced before. Notice her voice here. Children, it is not she is not only sad, but she is also filled with anger. She tolerated beatings, drunken abuse, humiliation, and still she did not commit suicide. When the farmer used to come home being drunk, he used to physically abuse her, torture her, beat her. She did not take away her life. She said, okay, he is a man, he can do anything. Let me bear all this. Why? because she thought he is only a man, he is weak sometimes. But his death feels like a betrayal worse than violence. Imagine being slapped, insulted, starved, and yet still standing by him. But now he has dealt her the biggest wound, abandonment. That is why she calls it as a death blow. So, even today in our society, mothers and wives face this physical abuse and mental torture from husbands who come home drinking alcohol or who are drug addicts. Not just the farmers, even the um, general people I'm talking about. So, lot of for the women they suffer silently at home. Stanza 4. True, the crop was gone, the debt remained, our dignity hit the dust, our hearts turned to water. But how did you imagine my back would bear the burden of 4 children? Now, here let me explain. The wife agrees. She says, yes, the crop failed and the family was in debt. They lost dignity, they were broken. But she questions him. Did he ever think about her? How can she alone bear the heavy burden of raising 4 children? Her husband only thought of the crop, but she has to think of the children and their future. Here, her frustration is heavy. She asks him, did you think about me even once before you drank that poison? Did you think about our 4 children? Imagine her back, already bent with work, now carrying not just one burden but four. 4 mouths to feed, 4 futures to secure. She is angry that his despair blinded him to her reality. Stanza 5. You saw your crop destroyed. What of the harvest of my womb? Can I leave them to the wind like a worm eaten cotton pods? It takes a moment to die, but open your mouth and ask, what of this? Why is this? Let me explain stanza 5. The wife compares crops to children. The farmer, worried about the cotton crop, but what about her harvest, the children? She cannot throw them away like useless cotton pods. For her, living is harder than dying. Dying is easy, but living requires courage and responsibility. She wishes she had questioned life instead of running away from it. Her words cut like fire here. She says, your cotton was destroyed, but what about my womb's harvest, our children? Can I throw them away like rotten cotton pods? Never. For her, the real test is survival. She knows it is easy to drink poison and die in a moment, but it is far harder to wake up every day, feed children, and fight against hunger and shame. She is furious and she is furious at his selfishness, but at the same time, her own strength becomes visible. Stanza 6. Needs a firm heart to teach my children to clench a fist, not merely for a handful of rice, but in battle I must live. I must embrace life, not death. Embrace life and struggle for life. In the final and the last stanza, the wife declares her strength. She says she will not give up. Her heart must be firm. She has to teach her children to be strong and to fight for justice. She chooses life, not death. She accepts struggle as her path and decides to live with courage. This is the most powerful moment. Her pain turns into determination. She declares, I will live. I will raise my children not to beg, but to fight for justice. I will embrace life, even if it means endless struggle. Her frustration transforms into courage. Her anger becomes energy. Her despair becomes strength. This is not just a woman crying, this is a woman rising, teaching us that survival itself is an act of resistance. So, students, this poem gives us a woman's voice which is usually unheard. While the farmer is remembered as a martyr, his wife is left to struggle alone. Through her anger, her frustration, her bitterness, and finally her courage, she teaches us the value of resilience. So, children, the poem leaves us with an important message. Suicide may feel like an escape for one person, but it creates unbearable suffering for those left behind. Real courage is not in escaping life, but in facing life with dignity. Women, though often silent in society, carry immense strength and resilience. Remember, children, life will always have struggles, but struggles are what makes us strong. To embrace life is to embrace courage. If you have understood the explanation, do not forget to subscribe to my channel, like and comment, and share it with your friends. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.